It is Pac Champs Finals week, guys, and it was about the end of the rugby league season, but we've got one more massive game to go against two great nations performing at the peak of their powers right now, with the Kiwis versus Samoa to be held at Combank Stadium, and it's going to be an absolutely massive final. And before we start that, please hit that like and subscribe to Wise Up TV for all your Pac Champs coverage that's over the next week and into next week as we review the games. Sorry, I've been out of the commission for a few days, but I'm back on the scene trying to provide the best quality content I can possibly give you. But it's a massive game. The bookies have got their $1.64 for the Kiwis, $2.30. It was $1.25, I think, last week against Tonga. $3.40 outsiders. Now you can see that margin. It's pretty even. So the people ask us, especially the bookies, are saying Kiwis are favourites, and they look like they should be favourites. But Samoans, they are outside chances. And they're going to have a great crack at it. It's built towards a perfect game because if you look at the previous game with Samoa against Tonga, they did pretty much what the Kiwis did to Tonga. So it's looking very, very exciting in terms of to go back to that first clash at Mount Smart. Toa actually had the momentum going into that last half. If they stick the pass to Dean Mariner, they go in. So it can be really skewed to think, wow, this might be an even match. We'll have to wait and see. Let's recap this Kiwis-Tonga's game first. The numbers tell you everything that you need to know. 29 minutes possession, completion rate. Both teams kind of throwing the ball around, and you could sense that. There's a lot of offloads, a lot of errors, especially in that first half. But those run meters, 1,990 meters over 1163, tells you all about it. Then the 10 line breaks from the Kiwis. 63 tackle breaks. That is unacceptable at any level. Even if that was NRL, you're getting beaten by that pretty much number or 50 points if you're getting 63 tackle breaks off. 24 offloads. I've never seen so many offloads in my life from a Kiwis team or maybe any team. They were just going into contact, hit and spin. Nothing post-contact, but go into contact, spin, and there's a pass available nearly every time. 266 tackles made to 335. That number, it's almost nearly 100 more, maybe 6 sets. So they tackled an extra 10 sets, I'd say, the Tongans. And then the errors, 18 errors. What does that say about the Kiwis? I thought the Kiwis were fantastic. It was the most open footy I'd seen in a while. And, activated by the likes of Keanu Kinney, which I think going forward, and they've selected him as the fullback this week, it's the right move. It should have been done in the week one. I'm not sure what happened there with Stace not making that call. I've got a slight feeling that Stace still kind of backs the CNK, and for whatever reason, but you can tell Kenny is the Kiwis fullback. If Reece Walsh is the fullback for Australia, that style, that speed, then Kenny's got to be that as well. And he's just explosive energy that I was really, really impressed with. But I thought, man, the Kiwis were absolutely dominant. The forward pack, man, they stuck it to them. They really, that front row of Leota and Fisher Harris, if I could have both of them at the Waz, I'd be very happy with a Mitch Barnett. But then the back row stepped up. I thought Britton Nikora, Papali'i, especially Britton, I thought he was a bit quiet in game one against Toa. Man, he lifted in this one. He really did. And then Casey McLean again. Dylan Brown was just confident as ever doing what he does. Foz just chipping away doing what he was doing. But it was a total dominant team performance, man. And they really stuck it to Tonga. Now for Tonga, I'm not sure what you take out of that one. Yes, they're missing the likes of a Koloa Matangi, Olokuatu. There's a few other players they're missing, but the link play between Yongi and Izzy Katoa is just not there. They need to sort those halves out. If they go to a Latu Fainu, I don't know what they need to do there, but they need to. I'm not sure if Lehigh Hopewadi is the right fit at fullback. Hence my call to go for a Yongi back to the fullback position. But you got to sort out your defense. You got to sort out your middles. Saliva Havili is just too old now. Sonny Luke isn't that impactful enough around the dummy half. We look at the dummy half work. I thought Phoenix Croston was really good too. Nothing special, but just energy, getting the team on the front foot. That's some of the areas that Tonga really need to look at. And some of the older players like a Felice Kavusi. Then on top, and I'm going to mention this, and I know it's been spoken about a lot, the Eli Katoa situation. Why was there should have been visuals. I'm sure they knew internally that he got a head knock. That should have been relayed. And why force it? Why not push Aleka Halasima, who's playing great, and you put him into 18th man? Very, very confusing from Wolf. I'll go back to it, and I said it in my previews before at times about Tonga. Are they being too loyal? Has Wolf been in the game too long? I think so. I think it's time to move forward. Can you hotshot a preparation for a Rugby League World Cup? Probably not. That will probably bring a lot of dysfunction. So I'm saying they're going to go with Wolf to 26, but 27 and onward. I'm looking at a proper rebuild around Izzy Katoa and getting a 5/8, proper hookers, proper fullbacks. Getting Yongi back to fullback. Sorry, but mate, there's a lot to work on. Just the attitude, the level of detail. Like I said, maybe they went to Tonga and it was just too casual. You saw Samoa lift in that game, and then the Kiwis just said, "Well, we're not going to play soft. We're not going to let you get this," and well, that's what you get for it. So a lot of reflection for Tonga, but this is the perfect final that everyone wants and needs actually. So we're going to break that down for you right now. Firstly, let's just quickly recap that first game against Kiwis and Torso. Absolute fantastic game. Probably the best, closest game out of all of them. And again, I'll go back to that point. Tor had an opportunity. Dean Mara bombed the try. But also the Kiwis came in clutch. Dylan Brown, the main man. And that forward pack that kind of set the tone, they've continued on. And you're thinking, man, it's going to be a really, really good battle. But 24-18, going into a final, that scoreline might remain there. It might be even closer. Maybe Samoa go in to win this game. Get your score predictions in the comments. But let's look at some key things that I just think need to be really important for this to be effective. For Toa Samoa, you have to build the platform. There might be a genuine excitement to kind of push the pass, take advantage. But you've shown yourself that you can get at the Kiwis. You can be successful when you build momentum. I mentioned that first Kiwis games, they just pulled the trigger a little bit too early at times. They forced the pass. But against Tonga, they executed really well. The set plays were awesome. That's why I'm saying if you build the platform right with your middles, your kicking game, Luai I thought was very effective against Tonga. And he could probably be the dominant kicker again of the series. I reckon build the platform right and pull the pin at the right times. Execute in the red zone. I keep mentioning this, that the more that they're getting better each week. So I expect them to lift a little bit more again. You have to execute against a pretty stringent, tight Kiwis forward pack. And defensively, a little bit better. I mean, they only leaked 14, but I mean, Tonga haven't been scoring a ton. And likewise, Tonga only scored one try against Samoa. So that tells you that the Kiwis may be leaking a little bit more. That, for me, says you got to execute in the red zone with the opportunities that you get. This is simple. Limit errors and infringements. This current tournament has a lot of errors in it. Every team is having 10-plus errors. If you can cut your errors down under 10, or even say 8 errors a game, you're in with a high chance, percentages-wise, to have enough ball and position to win this game. No team so far hasn't had errors below 10. So unless the Kiwis really tighten up, Samoa have an opportunity if they take care of the pill, do everything right, they can actually be in position to win the games. Not saying that they will, but they'll have enough position to say that they can and keep it tidy. No 6 against. Well, limit your 6 games, limit your penalties, nothing silly, no knock-ons. When you do your kick defusals, get everything right. If you can limit as much of that as you can, you're well within a chance to have the yardage from your back 5 and from your forwards to put you in positions to win that game. Luai and Talangi, for me, must dominate. They have to be that difference in terms of their organisation, setting up the attacking structures. They'll need some explosive plays. They're coming up against a Foz who's on his last legs, but he's doing a decent job. But Dylan Brown is the standout performer for the Kiwis backline in terms of the spine players. If Luai and Talangi can dominate those two and win the moments, they've got a high chance of really winning this game. Then the defensive stops and key moments. You have to stop the Kiwis at certain points. One thing I'll give CNK when he was fullback against Tor, he stopped 3 tries. He had to. RTS will have to make some line-breaking stops. The wingers will have to jam at certain times. You'll have to, your edge defense will get tested. But if you can get stops, if you can get Casey McLean on a, he's on a line break and you chase down tackle and you ankle tap him, anything like that to stop certain points, that for me is a win for Toa Samoa. So firstly, you can't be beaten through the middle. Kiwis have shown that they're very dominant. That 24 offloads, it was like bounce and offload. If you can wrap the tackler up and keep everything tight, you got every chance of being in this game. Then you just got to pick your moments. You have to have key stops in order to win this comp, and I think they can. But it's a very, very good team, and even though they are missing, this is the big point for me, Jeremiah Nanai. We saw what he did against Tonga. He is out with the Jaden Sewer coming in. Jaden Sewer is a nice up and down, kind of reminds me of Britain Nicola, kind of that line running back rower. But Nanai had that just X factor about him, which is a bit of a loss for Toa Samoa. But nonetheless, you got a very, very good team there. For the Kiwis, they need to continue their domination of yardage and field position. The Kiwis can score points, but they have to win the field battle. Now, the Keanu is at the back. His yardage numbers probably just a little bit shorter than CNK's, but the kicking game will be much better, I think, from Aluai. So there might be a bit more field position battle towards Samoa. But if they can win that yardage battle, they'll go a long way to it. They got the fullback. They can tell you they can muscle up, but they need to continue to maintain that field position because Toa can be explosive. They can be dangerous. The goal line defense must be consistent. I've seen a few patches where the likes of Casey McLean have been caught out. The wingers have been caught out, especially in that first game against Toa. There are some issues there. Now you got a new guy coming in. CNK, he isn't the fastest. I believe Tungwa can get on the outside of him. Dean Mariner, if they can get the movement from the inside and they go out the back in shape, you can get CNK out on an edge over Casey McLean. Now do the Kiwis actually pull a late change and bring Karapani in to go with a Casey McLean? Then again, there's another edge that you're not too sure about defensively. Casey McLean against Toa Samoa was 5 tackles made, 5 tackles missed in that first game. So you can catch that edge out a bit more, in my opinion. So Kiwis need to be solid goal line wise. They have to really diffuse the physical, but also the speed that they have on the outside. You got to use the speed man to effect. Use Keanu Kinney. Use the pace. Get on the outside. What we saw from him, getting on the outside and releasing Casey McLean and working back inside. Use that speed as your counter attack to Samoa. Use the speed to effect is what I'm really saying. Access all of those elements. Matty Tamoko's hitting 200 meters a game. Casey McLean 200. The centers and outside backs are really killing it. Use those speed man to effect. Dylan Brown, I said about Jerome and Talangi to own and dominate. Well, Dylan Brown needs to continue to own the space. He needs to continue to be that X factor, that difference maker. Similar to what Sean has been in years past or Benji, Foz will do his job, but Dylan will need to dictate how the game goes. The forwards will win the game. Dylan Brown and the like will decide by how much. That's how important I think he is. He's going really, really well confidence-wise. I'm just looking forward to seeing how he turns up in this final and seize the moment. And just build off what you've been doing. Build off of the platform you've laid. You've had 2 great games. 2 absolutely fantastic games. From a Kiwis fan, I haven't been more excited by the footy that I've seen in these last 2 games than what I've seen in years past. I think it's probably some of the best footy I've seen. The 30-0 against Kangaroos was always fantastic. But the open play, Keanu Kinney and pace, Casey McLean scoring great tries. Everything from an attacking sense is just flowing right now. Build off that platform. Go in confident, knowing that you can do the same to Toa Samoa. You've proven that in the first game. Maybe this game's a nail-biter tight game. But from what the game's been played at the moment, it's a very, very open game. Very different to NRL style. Like I said, 24 offloads. People are loving it because the ball's been thrown around the park. It's an open footy game. Will it be like that in the final? I'm probably saying it will. But both teams will be up for it. Payne Arse will be throwing the ball. Jerome he's not afraid to throw it around. Blaze is a bit of a off-the-cuff player too. So it should be a good open footy match. But you have to build off the platform you've been building. Look, right now I'm excited as a Kiwis fan. I wish the Ashes was over and we had a one shot at the Kangaroos after this, just to see and test our level. But for a Kiwis fan looking into 2026, if we can keep most of these guys healthy, end of the year we get Jerome Hughes back, a JMK back in hooker, Keanu Kinney, Casey McLean. We're looking like a very, very solid team that can compete for a World Cup. I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. But this is some of the key stats from the game against Tonga. Now, this isn't against each other, but the times they played Tonga. Pretty much even, as you can see there. Both teams dominated Tonga in terms of yardage. The post-contact, the Kiwis probably had more success. So there is an element to say maybe the Kiwis will dominate the forward battle. The line breaks, Kiwis a bit more explosive, but Samoa had their moments. 48 tackle breaks against Kiwis 63. Again, pretty even. Just defensively, the Kiwis a bit more solid. Same amount of errors. Like I said, if any of those teams can get their errors under 10, it'll go a long way to making this, putting themselves in the position to be successful. So pretty even in terms of stats. Probably some stronger areas you'd probably say for the Kiwis and the forwards, and explosive plays. But outside of that, I think both teams will be up for it. If they can get even amount of possession, it will be a very, very good game. Some key matchups. Keanu Kinney, we know he's going to be the fullback for this game, but he's coming up against an absolute monster in RTS. Look at their numbers against Tonga. 23 for 199. Kinney was very, very explosive. He was very accurate in terms of not just for himself, but setting up other guys. A line break assist to, Casey McLean down the short side was beautiful to watch. I love short side raids. On the opposite side, you got 28 for 296, an absolute meter eater in RTS. So if they can get into the grind, you're looking at it and thinking, well, RTS is going to be more dominant in a grinded out type game. If it opens up, you're thinking Keanu Kinney in open space is electric. But it's going to be a good battle to see how this game is turning out. Again, kick and return meters in favor of RTS. Post contact, that's a big area. Roger post contact can still chew up those 5 to 6 meters, can't he? In all of his carries. Kenny's not that type. When you get him, you catch him, he usually shuts him down. Similar to a Tain Tuo Picky. But Roger will always chew out the meters, which goes to say that he will provide just consistent yardage. He'll keep you guys in the game. So you got to just, if you can defend and you can deal with the kicks from foreign, you'll find yourself in very good positions field-wise to score points. The line break assist, that's what I'm saying, the X factor, the explosives from Kenny is something to be aware of. The tackle breaks from Roger C, the 6, almost double. He just always can get on there, through post contact, break a tackle. He's got that amazing footwork. The passing receipts, Kenny a little bit more pass happy. Maybe you're saying he's a little bit more creative in terms of, what he offers in terms of passing and setting up tries out the back. Like I said, he set up Casey McLean. He threw a cutout that Casey McLean, I think, scored or maybe didn't score. So maybe Roger's more of the up and down type fullback. But Roger has been chipping in as well in terms of the attack. So there's nothing to take away from Rog there. But it will be a very good battle. Like, I think if it's a grinded out style, you're going to pick Roger to win. If the game opens up, then you're thinking Kenny will win that battle. But nonetheless, it'll be fantastic. The second big one is, for me, the lock position, Tapine versus Paulo. Now, if you look at Tapine's minutes, he's doing about 55 minutes, 57 minutes, but he's doing it in 2 stints. Paulo went for a straight 74. Like I said, he was a man possessed. He was literally Superman against Tonga. And it shows you that he's fit. He's doing well as long as the game isn't too taxing on him defensively. He still has his moments defensively where you can get at him, but he put in one of his best performances that I've ever seen at an international level. Who's not to say with a week's rest, he might go 74 again, which is what they're probably looking like they need. Typing a 25-minute stint and then a 17-minute stint. He's being well managed, and his impact is still explosive. 12 for 114, 52 post-contact. Then you got the tackle breaks and the offloads. Like I said, 24 offloads, Tapine with a 5th of those offloads. If he gets open play, if he can get attacking at that 4-pack, And he gets that arm free. Second phase 40, watch out. Then you got Dylan Brown running onto it. You got Keanu Kinney. You got Casey McLean off these. So you have to wrap the tackler up. 27 to 2, both very solid efficiency-wise. 2 errors. Tapine probably a little bit looser. Then this is a really key one. The pass-to-run ratio, 2.0 to Polo. You can tell that he's a much more impactful in terms of he's the first receiver. He's so important to their kind of attacking structure. It'll be interesting to see how he goes with that. On the other hand, Tapine, more of an up and down lock, straight up and down. You'll see Fisher Harris be more of that guy. Aaron Clark. So although he's playing lock, he's doing more kind of prop type work. But he's very, very solid. It's just good to see the diversity of the players. But Polo, man, I'm expecting a massive game from him. He will want to win this, and they want to see the tone. This is a team, a Samoan team, that made a World Cup final. If they can go and win the Pac Champs, what's the confidence level saying that they can't go and win the World Cup next year? Why can't Tino Fa'asua Maleaui come back and say, man, wow, I want to jump on board with this. I've done my dash with the Kangaroos. I'm going to the World Cup. Me and Payne are going to run that middle. If they go and then they cement that and they're building for the future in terms of their fans saw towards Samoa win a Pac Champs. Wow, I'm going to go for Samoa over Kiwis or Samoa over Kangaroos next time. It's a really, really cool battle. Then you got this is the key players here. Dylan Brown, 13 for 122, 2 try assists, 5 tackle breaks, 2 tries. Like I said, he's the key for me in the Kiwis. He needs that X factor. We need his explosives. But 13 for 122 from a running half, you love to see that from a 5'8", don't you? Brian, do not forget Brian was massive against Tonga. 19 for 182. He'll lift, no doubt, in this final. 117 kick return meters. Again, if you don't get your kicking game right, Brian will destroy you. Foz will need to pin those kicks down on him perfectly. 4 tackle breaks, 4 errors though. He still has a bit of errors in him at the moment, as you saw against Toa and the Kiwis. Tomoko has just not dropped off. In fact, he's lifted 24 192. 81 post contact. I expect another big game from him. He's been so dominant. 12 tackle breaks and 2 line break assists. Absolutely beast of a player. Talangi as well. 2 line break assists, 2 try assists, 15 and 9. Pretty decent tackling numbers. But Talangi will have to play his role in terms of just setting plays up, using the structure, maybe a little bit off the cuff, but an X factor. He has that in his game. He definitely does. And if he can execute, he'll be dangerous. Casey McLean, 1 try. 17 for 183. Again, the yardage numbers are telling you he's making meters. 3 line breaks, 4 tackle breaks, 4 errors though. So be very aware he does have an error in him. Sasangi, 14 for 106, 37 to 4 tackles and missed. He's very solid as well, Sasangi. I rate him highly. And he'll be key. If he continues to put those tackle numbers in, it'll go to, slowing the Kiwis down a bit. Phoenix Crossland, I couldn't believe this performance. I thought it was really, really solid from him. 74 minutes, 27.5 PTR. I mean, he's literally just passing one off the ruck each time. He's not a run threat. He never has been. That's an area where Benaya Ioelu, I think, will have the domination or the wood over him. And is an area that they could exploit to kind of create some sixer gains, to create some ruck speed. But Phoenix, 35 for 5. He's just a solid. It's like having another middle forward or a lock on the field just to defend. But his service has been pretty decent. What I felt from Phoenix was the ball was getting out to the halves on time in the right spots at the right places. Nothing more, nothing less. But very solid. Payne, 12 for 101. Not massive numbers. And what I mean by this is that he's fresh and ready to go. He could go play 80 in this final if they need it. I think that was the intention by Gardner. And I think that's the right figure. So I'm really looking forward to what if they Payne goes over the top. He may have to in the tight game, no doubt. But mate, if he can come and do 2 stints and stay fresh, still with the short amount of minutes that he's doing, 7 tackle breaks, 18 and 1 missed tackle, he'll be solid. Nafahu White, he's that man through the middle that really dominates the middle part of the game. Came out of the halftime, line breaks, amazing runs, 15 for 192. He'll be massive again, I'm saying. His numbers haven't dropped off. So as long as he's having playing on form and playing at a good level, he will be fantastic. 7 tackle breaks, 19 1 tackles and miss. But Naya Iluelu, 5 for 46. I want to see a little bit more from this boy. As you can see, his pass to run ratio is lower So he is running a lot more of the ball over Phoenix Crossland. Hence, I think he will actually be very dangerous. He played 40 minutes in that first game. He'll be very, very important to the Samoans. So just getting ruck speed going, getting the game going, getting everyone in their spots. His sniping runs out of if the middles aren't solid, his sniping runs are very, very good. And so I'm excited to see how he and CHT work together. CHT did the majority of the second half, but the game had blown out by then. It's a massive, massive game. The last game of the year, you could throw everything at it. And that's what I expect from both teams. They'll throw everything at it, give it their best, and see who the last man standing is. And overall, my thoughts, guys, this is my score prediction. I have it a Kiwis 32-24. Now, I am a biased Kiwis fan. Always have been. And I respect Samoa, I respect Tonga. Have nothing against them. And in fact, for the international game, it would be great if Samoa wins. I'm not going to deny that. But for a Kiwis fan that wants to see my team push for a World Cup, win another trophy, come up against the Kangaroos and beat them, I would love us to see us win this comp. And it's going to be a sold-out crowd at CommBank. And we know that it's going to be 90% Samoa, 10% Kiwis. You're playing at an away venue pretty much. The Samoans will be up for it. They probably thinking, we could have beaten you guys. We bombed some tries. But the Kiwis have shown they're willing to go to another level against what I saw from Tonga. There was no dropping off. There was no lapses in mentality like Kiwis of old. For Stacey to get those 2 wins against those 2 wins this round and to beat Tonga again, he seems to be gelling a bit better as a coach, the playing and staff, and saying they're enjoying their time under Stacey, which for me I'm still iffy about, but nonetheless, he's getting his props. It's good for Stacey to get a Pac Champs win to build his confidence to go in the World Cup. Likewise, Ben Gardner, he's only had 1 win. If he beats the Kiwis the first time ever, are they like Tonga that just breaks the dam, and then you go in the mentality, we can beat the Kiwis whenever we're up for it. It doesn't mean you always will. For example, Tonga can't just turn it on and you get beat 14-14. But at least it builds you confidence moving into a World Cup. I'm just saying personally, I think the Kiwis will carry on. I think that 4-pack is legit. It is dominant. The loss of Jeremiah Nanai, just a few little things for Samoa where, look, maybe in the middle, the Kiwis are a little bit stronger. Keanu Kinney, X Factor now. Likewise, you got Dean Mariner. You got all the outside backs there. I thought the attacking structure was very effective. If Talangi and Luai can dominate that, built off the pack, and they can get the go forward, and they have a superhuman effort from Payne and Paulo again, and all those things, mate, I have no doubt that Samoa could win it. I'm just probably being biased and saying the Kiwis will win 32-24. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Or do you actually believe, well, this is a Cinderella story? Tour Samoa are going to go all the way. We'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be an absolute awesome Pac Champs final and a great way to finish the year. I can't wait. I'm going to be sad when footy season's over, but this is probably the best final we could have possibly got. So let's wait and see what happens. But anyway, guys, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll catch up, no doubt, post-game with some match reactions and some reviews. But anyway, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this game. Up the Kiwis, but much love to Toa Samoa. Let's have a great final, and hopefully it's played in a good spirit. Stay safe, guys. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you later. Peace.